The harsh reality of attraction. Stop lying to yourself and look at the results you're getting. Most men are moving through life following a script that was designed to make them fail. You've been told that if you're just nice enough, if you buy enough gifts, or if you shower a woman with endless compliments, she will eventually see your worth and choose you. You think playing the patient friend and waiting in the wings for her to realize you're the one is a winning strategy. It's not. In fact, it is the fastest way to ensure she never sees you as a romantic partner. Attraction is not a business transaction where you trade kindness for desire. When you lead with these behaviors, you aren't showing her you're a good guy. You're showing her that you're desperate. And in the world of attraction, desperation is a repellent. The more you chase, the more you shrink in her eyes until you eventually become completely invisible. You need to understand that attraction is not a logical choice she makes after weighing your pros and cons. She doesn't sit down with a checklist and decide to like you because you're stable, polite, or always there for her. Attraction is an involuntary, visceral, emotional response to how you carry yourself in the world. It is a reaction to your energy, your boundaries, and your presence. You can have the best intentions in the world, but if you don't trigger that internal emotional spark, you will remain a background character in her life. Most men are failing because they are trying to convince a woman's mind, but they are completely ignoring her subconscious. If you want to change your results, you have to stop playing it safe and start understanding the raw mechanics of human desire. The truth is that women aren't drawn to just looks, money, or status. While those things can open a door, they are purely surface level. What truly pulls a woman in and keeps her there is the tension you create. It's the feeling of mystery that makes her wonder what you're thinking. It's the element of challenge that makes her feel like she has to earn your time. It's the display of masculine power that shows her you are a man who moves with purpose and doesn't need her validation to feel complete. When a woman tells you, "I'm not interested," or "I don't feel a spark," what she is actually saying is that you haven't engaged her emotionally. You've been too predictable, too available, and too easy to figure out. You haven't given her anything to chase. This is your wake up call to stop the cycle of chasing and start triggering her subconscious curiosity. You have to realize that the nice guy script is a dead end that leads straight to rejection and resentment. From this moment forward, you need to flip the script entirely. It's time to stop asking for permission to be noticed and start behaving in a way that makes your value undeniable. You aren't here to convince her to like you. You are here to build a life and a persona that naturally draws her in. We are going to break down exactly how to stop being the guy who begs for attention and start being the man who commands it. If you're tired of being ignored and ready to understand the psychological triggers that actually drive attraction, then listen closely. Everything you thought you knew about winning her over is about to be challenged. 1. Stop chasing, start leading. Let's get one thing clear: chasing is weak energy, and women can smell it from a mile away. When you chase, you are effectively announcing to the world and to her that you believe she is the prize and you are just a hopeful contestant. You are placing her on a high pedestal while you sit at the bottom, begging for a scrap of her time. No woman, regardless of who she is attracted to a man she feels is beneath her. In her mind, if you are working that hard to get her attention, it must mean your own life isn't that interesting. You become a fan, not a partner. Women don't want to be hunted like prey. They want to be led by a man who actually knows where he's going. They want to see that you have a world of your own, a mission, a career, a passion that is so compelling they feel a natural urge to join it. Even the most successful, independent women crave a man who can take the lead because it allows them to finally relax and step out of their own leadership roles. Leading is about having an unshakable sense of direction. It starts with how you communicate. Most men are terrified of making a mistake, so they constantly ask for permission. They say things like, "When are you free?" or "Where would you like to go?" thinking they are being polite. In reality, they are offloading the mental work onto her and showing the lack of backbone. Stop asking and start inviting. Instead of a weak, what do you want to do? Try saying, I'm going to that new spot downtown this Saturday. You should come along. This small shift in language changes everything. It shows you have a plan, you have taste, and most importantly, you're going there whether she shows up or not. That is masculine energy. It communicates that your happiness doesn't depend on her yes. If you are always available, always replying within seconds, and always saying yes to whatever she wants, you become a commodity. You become predictable. Respect is the absolute foundation of attraction, and she cannot respect a man who has nothing better to do than wait around for her to validate his existence. 2. Rejection is a filter, not a finality. The average man crumbles the second he hears the word no. He takes it as a final, crushing verdict on his value as a human being. He walks away with his head down, his pride in tatters, feeling like he's failed a test. But here is the secret that the top 1% of men understand: rejection is rarely about you, and it's almost never final. Women test men constantly, often subconsciously. When she says, I'm not interested, or I have a boyfriend, she is often throwing up a shield to see how you handle pressure. She is observing your reaction with a metaphorical magnifying glass. Are you going to get needy and start explaining yourself? Are you going to get angry and bitter? Or are you going to stay completely composed, unbothered, and move like a man who knows his worth doesn't change based on one woman's opinion? You have to realize that rejection is emotional and momentary, not a logical or permanent state. A woman might say no because she's having a bad day, because she's tired, or simply because she wants to see if you're strong enough to handle the friction of her personality. A man who truly understands psychology knows that her first no is often just a filter designed to weed out the weak, the insecure, and the desperate. If you get easily filtered out, she knows you weren't built for the challenge of being with her. The key is to stop reacting emotionally. If she rejects an approach or turns down a date, don't argue and don't plead. Just smirk, give a calm, fair enough, and go back to whatever you were doing. This level of indifference is incredibly rare and highly attractive. When she sees that you didn't flinch, that you didn't lose your cool, and that you are still perfectly happy on your own path, she begins to second guess her own rejection. She starts wondering why her no didn't break you, and that curiosity is exactly where the spark of new attraction begins. 3. Nice guys are forgettable. Let's have a real conversation about the nice guy trap, because it is the single biggest lie men have been fed for generations. You've been told that if you're just polite enough, if you listen to all her problems for hours, and if you make yourself her emotional safety net, she will eventually reward you with her love. But look at the reality around you. You're the guy who texts back instantly, the guy who never disagrees, and the guy who is always there. Yet she still leaves you for the man who barely gives her the time of day. Why? Because being nice does nothing but create comfort. And while comfort is great for a long-term friendship, it is the absolute death of sexual attraction. Comfort is predictable. It is safe. It is boring. When you act like a nice guy, you aren't building a spark. You're building a bridge to the friend zone. You become the brother she can vent to about the guys she actually wants to be with. I am not telling you to be a jerk or to be toxic. I am telling you to stop being soft. Stop living your life with the sole goal of impressing her or seeking her approval. A woman does not want a man she can walk all over. She wants a man who is unapologetically himself, a man who has firm boundaries and isn't afraid to use the word no. If you agree with everything she says just to avoid conflict, she loses respect for you instantly because she realizes you have no frame of your own. Attraction requires tension, and tension requires a bit of friction. If there is no risk of her losing your interest, if there is no challenge in winning you over, then there is no excitement. Without that tension, there is no chemistry. This is exactly why a woman will call the nice guy when she's heartbroken and needs a shoulder to cry on, but she will run to the man who challenges her when she's feeling desire. Stop being the emotional sponge and start being the man who stands his ground. 4. Master the power of mystery. The hard truth that most men ignore is simple. You talk too much. You are constantly giving away your power through your phone and your mouth. You're sending play by play updates of your entire day, replying to her messages within seconds, and oversharing every single thought that crosses your mind. You think you're building connection, but what you're actually doing is killing every ounce of curiosity she might have had. If she knows exactly what you're doing, who you're with, and what you're thinking at every hour of the day, why would she ever feel the need to wonder about you? Human desire is fueled by the unknown. Women don't just fall for the man in front of them, they fall for the version of you they create in their own imagination. When you are too transparent and too available, you destroy that imagination. You leave her with nothing to discover. You need to stop being a messenger and start being a mystery. You have to realize that silence is often more powerful than words. Stop talking just to fill the space because you're nervous. Let there be gaps. Let her wonder where you are, what you're working on, and why you haven't checked your phone in 4 hours. This uncertainty is what creates emotional tension, and that tension is the literal fuel for desire. If you are always in her face, she never has the opportunity to lean in. She never gets the chance to miss you. When you pull back, you force her to invest her mental energy into figuring you out. Stop spoon feeding her your life story and start focusing on your own path. Build a life that is so engaging and so focused on your mission that you don't even have time to be a constant messenger. Let her work to earn a spot in your world rather than begging to be a part of hers. 5. The silent threat of loss. You need to understand a fundamental law of human nature. We only truly value what we feel we might lose. If a woman feels like you are a permanent fixture in her life, someone who will always be there, always waiting, and always available no matter how she treats you, she will inevitably stop valuing your presence. Familiarity without a challenge leads to boredom, and boredom is the graveyard of attraction. To keep a woman truly invested, there must be a silent, underlying realization that you are a man with options. This isn't about being manipulative, being childish, or posting fake staged photos with random girls to stir up drama. That's low value behavior that screams for attention. True high value energy comes from actually having an active, vibrant life where your time and attention are limited because you are busy building something significant. When you are socially engaged and moving confidently through the world, it sends a clear signal that you are a man of value who is recognized by others, including other women. This creates a sense of healthy jealousy and competition, which acts as a powerful emotional trigger. When she sees you in a room, relaxed and unbothered, engaging with people and being the center of your own universe, it hits her at a gut level. She realizes that you aren't sitting at home staring at your phone, waiting for her to text you back or give you permission to be happy. You are living, growing, and thriving regardless of her input. This creates a silent threat of loss because she sees that your life is a moving train. And if she doesn't put in the effort to stay on board, that train will keep moving without her. It forces her to shift from a state of complacency to a state of pursuit. When she recognizes that you are building a life she genuinely wants to be a part of, she will naturally start showing more effort, more consistency, and more desire to secure her place in your world. You don't need to say a word about it. Your lifestyle should do all the talking for you. 6. Silence is your greatest tool. One of the biggest mistakes men make when they're attracted to someone is thinking they need to talk her into liking them. They feel this frantic need to fill every silence with compliments, stories, or validation, hoping that if they just say the right thing, she'll finally see how great they are. But the reality is the exact opposite. The more you talk, the more forgettable you become. When you rush to fill every pause in a conversation, you come across as anxious and needy, as if you're terrified that if the talking stops, she'll lose interest. You have to realize that silence is not your enemy. It is your greatest tool for building tension. Silence creates a vacuum, and in that vacuum, curiosity and desire begin to grow. It forces her to lean in, to wonder what you're thinking, and to work for your attention. A man who is perfectly comfortable in silence projects a level of power that words can never match. It communicates a deep sense of self assuredness. It says, I don't need to prove myself to you, and I don't need your immediate approval to feel comfortable. Stop rushing to react. Stop over explaining your choices, and stop showering her with unearned praise. While women appreciate genuine compliments, those words lose all their weight when they are given too frequently or too early. If you give a compliment every 5 minutes, you aren't being sweet, you're being predictable. Instead, make your words rare and your compliments something she has to actually earn through her actions or her character. When you stop providing a constant stream of noise, she has to pay closer attention to your presence. You become a man who is felt rather than just heard. By mastering the art of silence, you separate yourself from the crowd of needy men who are constantly begging for her attention with their mouths, and you become the man who commands it with his energy. 7. Make her earn your attention. You need to understand that your attention is the most valuable currency you possess in the dating world, yet you are likely handing it out like it's worthless. Most men treat their attention like free Wi Fi. It's always on, it's always available, and anyone can connect to it without giving anything in return. When you operate this way, you aren't being a nice guy or attentive, you are becoming a utility. People don't value utilities, they use them. They take them for granted until they stop working. Human nature is wired to value what we have to work for, what we have to struggle for, and what we might actually lose. If a woman knows that no matter how little effort she puts in, you will still be there to text her good morning, like all her photos, and listen to her vent for hours, she will never respect your time. Why should she? You've already shown her that your presence costs her absolutely nothing. It is time to flip the script and stop rewarding low effort with high value attention. You must become extremely selective with who gets your time and why. If she is giving you dry, one word replies, taking days to respond, or flaking on plans, and you respond by trying even harder, you are literally training her to disrespect you. You are telling her that your attention is a bottomless pit that she can dip into whenever she feels bored. Instead, you need to act like a man whose time is a rare privilege. When she realizes that your attention isn't guaranteed and that you have the self respect to walk away when the energy isn't matched, her competitive nature will naturally kick in. She will stop wondering if she likes you and start wondering if she is doing enough to keep your interest. This shift is where the power dynamic levels out. When you pull back and stop giving yourself away for free, you create a vacuum that she feels the need to fill. Suddenly, she's the one texting first to check in. She's the one suggesting plans because she hasn't heard from you in a while. She begins to invest her own emotional energy into the connection because you've finally given her the space to do so. Real attraction isn't built on you doing 100% of the work. It's built in the moments where she has to stretch herself to reach you. By making your attention a reward for her positive investment, you establish yourself as a man of high value. You aren't being mean or playing games, you are simply setting a standard for how you expect to be treated. The moment you start treating your time like a prize, she will start treating you like one. Stop being the guy who is always there and start being the man who is worth waiting for.